Season's end brings the final round of the season for competitors and teams in the 2022 Area Elite Entertainment Cup Series. A trip to Las Vegas usually means trying to beat the odds and to get a little lucky. It wasn't luck that got our championship four here to battle it out one last time, but all of them would like a little luck on their side when the green flag drops tonight. Hi everybody, Kyle Heyer joined by Hunter Sleppy for the season finale of the Elite Entertainment Cup Series. Hunter, welcome aboard. 140 laps will determine our season championship race. 4 drivers remain in the championship hunt. Whoever finishes out on top is the one that will walk away with the championship trophy tonight.
This is the race that we've all been waiting for, other than the start of the season, always the end of the season, the championship four. We're over here in Las Vegas, Nevada, ready to crown the champion in the desert, and those are the 4 drivers you see on your screen that are the championship four. Jake Nichols, James Skyrley, Dom DeLeo, and David Weishart looking to defend his title as we head over to Las Vegas for tonight's running of the Cash That 210 presented by Elwood Designs.
Yeah, certainly. We got a little bit of time left here in practice, but as we get in prep for our last race of the season, let's talk about this car and this kind of track. You have to point squarely at the 91 of Jake Nichols as a potential favorite for tonight, Hunter, just because he's been so dominant on the 1.5 mile tracks tonight. His average finish is pretty impeccable.
Yeah, Jake Nichols is arguably the favorite to win the championship. People were saying that even at the beginning of the season, his first one coming at Phoenix, the second race of the season, and then just going on an absolute tear. So this is race 17 of season 2 for the Cup Series, and Jake Nichols entering tonight has won 8 of the 16 previous races. So he's literally got a 50% win ratio, 11 top 5s, 13 top 10s, and you mentioned the average finish, 6.5 for Jake Nichols.
That's really, really impressive, and I fully expect him to be a big factor in the championship tonight, as he has been all season long, Hunter. But as we get a little bit deeper into the night, I think one thing we need to mention about tonight is that Garrett Grant is quickly approaching a pretty significant milestone tonight, Hunter.
Garrett Grant is making his 100th career start in area iRacing across all 3 series, Cup, Lodge Box, and the Truck Series. And these are the stats that you see here from Garrett Grant. So 100th start tonight. He's got 3 wins throughout the first 99 races, 1 pole, 29 top 5s, and over 50% of his races have ended with a top 10, and over 10,000 laps complete, over at 10,618. So congrats to Garrett Grant on reaching such an impressive milestone.
It really is impressive, and 100 races is quite a few, so glad to have him with us here tonight as he approaches that very impressive milestone here. So just getting towards the tail end of practice, I want to talk about some more storylines as we get closer and closer to qualifying tonight. A moment that I think is incredibly important this evening is that qualifying session. But here's a look at your practice time so far and your 4 playoff competitors highlighted in that light blue color. Nichols, Scioli, Weishart, and Dom DeLeo are your 4 competitors, as you mentioned, Hunter. There they are, all in the top 15 here, but Nichols right on top, only by a couple thousandths over James Scioli.
Yeah, looking over from last season when the Cup Series went to Vegas, the only driver who competed was David Weishart, and he led 93 of the 140 laps from season 1, but only got a 14th place finish. And other than that, no one else ran in Vegas last year for the Cup Series. DeLeo was running in ARCA, and Scioli was, I believe he was running in Lodge Box, and Jake Nichols wasn't even a part of area iRacing. So there is the 33. That is season 1 champion, David Weishart, looking to defend that crown. Currently got the 4th quickest time on the chart. It's been between him or Jake Nichols, but Scioli's made an impressive bounce in the playoffs, and Dom DeLeo's been consistent as well to get himself inside of the championship 4. And Weishart's only picked up 1 win on the season, but it is consistency that will carry you through, and he's got 7 top 5s and 11 top 10s with an average finish of 10.1 to carry him into the championship 4. And there is the brother of Jake Nichols, Tyler Nichols, and there is Dominic DeLeo. He got his win this season at Nashville. He's gotten 3 top 5s and 9 top 10s with an average finish of 11.6, but as we saw from season 1 in the ARCA series, towards the later end of the season, he started to pick up the momentum and get the finishes that he needed, and it closed in at the right time for DeLeo, and now he's chasing for a championship in the Cup level.
Here's a look at Jake Nichols' quickest in practice so far in that Solar Flare Racing number 91. The only other driver that is competing is James Scioli, who's not currently on the racetrack right now. He sits in the pits preparing for a very important qualifying session. Now, when it comes down to the championship, when you have a fight like this, you see a big bobble there by Jake Nichols in turn 2. It comes down to a championship like this when you got to finish ahead of the other driver. It always just ends up being you have to win the race. There's not really a lot of times that I see this kind of format and you can get away without winning. You know, you're not going to get away with a 5th or 6th place tonight. You need to be 3rd, 2nd, and probably 1st if you want to have a realistic shot of beating your other competitors, especially with Jake Nichols. The numbers he has put up this season are pretty insane. 8 wins, 11 top 5s, 13 top 10s, an average finish of 6.5. That is extremely impressive over this season, and it's going to take a lot to beat him, and you'll probably have to take home 2 trophies tonight in order to get the 2nd.
Yeah, that's what we've seen throughout not only in area iRacing, but real life Cup racing as well. For most times, in order to be the champion, you would have to win the race. Now, guys like Alan Balancino, Rafe Slate, 3rd and 5th quickest, they can still go after it for the win, but the championship 4 are going to be fighting within a race amongst themselves. But if that race is for 1st, then that's double the prizes at stake. As we look at our weather, 66 degrees in the air, 72 on the track. Very cool temperatures here in the desert.
Yeah, pretty cool temperatures, and that means relatively high grip, but we've already seen a handful of drivers loose in the middle of the corner, so I wonder how challenging that setup is to drive. I'd expect that drivers are fighting it a little bit. Once there's some rubber down on the racetrack, it should be okay, but certainly it's not going to be absolutely perfect at all times. If you're wondering why I sound a little bit hoarse, I was up at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course this weekend announcing some Grid Life Touring Cup racing, so there was a lot of broadcasts involved with that, so that's why I sound a little under the weather tonight, but we'll get through it just fine. And with a minute left here in practice, we'll get prepped for qualifying, Hunter, for the Cash That Podcast 210. But again, this is our last race of the season, so this is when you lay it down on the line. And the Championship 4, while they're fighting amongst themselves, there are plenty of drivers that would be totally happy to put themselves in the mix just to get a race win in the last round of the season.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the last race of the season. You got to go big or go home. So, I mean, last week at Michigan, we went caution-free, and who knows, it could happen here, but with the championship on the line, I don't think we will see that. So look for some strategy calls of drivers taking 4 tires, 2 tires, or no tires and just gas and go, because gas is going to be a concern. These guys have to make at least 2 pit stops in order to make it to the end. We'll have to see. as time winds down in practice session, and we'll get to qualifying in just a moment.
Yeah, we're almost to qualifying at this stage. 21 drivers in the practice session. Brad Slaughter Jr. joined towards the tail end. Dom DeLeo, the only 13th quick, so we'll have to find some quick pace on the 1 or 2 lap time sheet. But when you get into the race, it's about consistency. You alluded to consistency earlier, Hunter, about how drivers that have been consistent have been the ones that have ended up on top of the standings this season. For all of our top 4, they have at least 9 top 10s apiece out of the 16 starts that they've all done. So that's better than 50% of the races in the top 10. And for all 4 also, actually 3 of the 4, more than 7 top 5s. Dom DeLeo, kind of the outlier there, but he's in the mix, and there's nothing that says he couldn't walk away here as a champion as we get into qualifying here.
Yep, absolutely. And qualifying just now getting underway, which is presented by the Cash That Podcast. Fans, be sure to check out the Cash That Podcast on Spotify. It's a sports betting podcast with Joe Zalera and producer Corey as they continue to provide their insight in the world of sports gambling. Just got over with, not Las Vegas, that's the track we're at now, Michigan. We were just at Michigan for the Cup Series. Kevin Harvick wound up stealing the win in the last restart from Bubba Wallace and Joey Logano there at the very end. Contact with Kyle Larson as well. But Harvick was a long shot going in. From what I saw, at around plus 2,000 to plus 2,500. And David Weishart, big Kevin Harvick fan, glad to see his driver getting the win. So I know some of those guys that placed their bets on Kevin Harvick to win made out pretty good. And tune in to the Cash That Podcast because we got the NFL coming up preseason. Yes, you can bet on preseason football. NBA is going to be coming up soon. Still have MLB going on, so make sure you check out Cash That Podcast.
Down the back straightaway, Alan Valentino in the 70. Absolutely sailing. Speeds well over 190 here. This is going to be a fun package to race with. We've seen this car be really cool on these 1.5-mile racetracks. Maybe a struggle at the road courses and the short tracks a little bit, but not here at the 1.5-milers. Valentino, first driver across the line. He'll go to the top of the board just for a moment as Garrett Grant heads down the back straightaway. This is his 100th start, his 100th qualifying effort, and it has already begun.
And Garrett Grant almost had a chance to win at Nashville, a track that kind of races similar to this, 1.3 miles, even though it's concrete. This is a pavement, traditional pavement oval. Comes across the stripe, 30.8. Going to be second quickest there for the 5 so far. And there's the 22 of DeLeo.
Yeah, this is our first of our 4 playoff competitors joining the racetrack. Dom DeLeo blending up on the exit of turn number 2. Magyar Bank 22 Ford Mustang. And again, finding your comfort level here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway is important. He rides up the racetrack in the middle of 3 and 4 and begins his flying laps.
And the poll is open over in the Twitch chat for fans to vote for who they think will win tonight's Cup race. Who will be the champion? You can select !bet DeLeo, Nichols, Scioli, or Weishart, and you can wager as many as 5 to 400 channel points. And already seeing the heavy favorite for Jake Nichols as the favorite. Have one for DeLeo, but most of it is for Jake Nichols.
Well, DeLeo couldn't have voted for DeLeo because he just came across the start-finish line and jumped up onto the timing sheets. Not a very quick first lap, though, so he'll have to hope for a little faster on the second lap. And it was the faster of the 2 laps for both the drivers that qualified before him. So with that hope in mind, we'll dive into turn 3. Not many other people qualifying yet, and I wonder, Hunter, if it's because we're getting later in the day, they're hoping that it's going to cool off a little bit, and maybe they can take advantage of some cooler track temps for their runs.
Yeah, it could be the case. It was already low enough, 72 degrees, but they want to get a little bit lower, probably in the mid to upper 60s, if that's possible. Got the billboards over there in turn 1 and 2 to provide some cover for half of the track, but the rest of it is over in that sunset.
And not a great second lap for Dom DeLeo. He kind of had a bobble in 1 and 2, and it cost him 2 or 3 tenths of a second. So he actually went slower on his second lap, and that will not be a qualifying run that he will be very thrilled with. Ryan Hart's now rolling, so is Jordan Martin, Cameron Hearn, and Forrest Smith. But Dom DeLeo's qualifying effort is over. That's all he can get is a 30.67.
Looking like he wasn't that fast in practice either. He was around 13th, 14th over there. Meanwhile, the rest were inside the top 5. And this is a driver who will be going after it for a championship tomorrow night. Ryan Hart's in the number 3, going to be going after that truck title. Looking like a heavy favorite or underdog against Brad Slaughter trying to defend his title. But that's tomorrow night on the Area iRacing Twitch channel. Tonight, though, he is trying to go for the win, just like the other guys that are in the open cars, like Balancino, Garrett Grant, those that are not chasing for the championship, still chasing for that win.
Here is David Weishart, the number 33, leads the way down into turn 1 on his qualifying effort, the second of our 4 playoff competitors to go for a lap. Jordan Martin jumps to 3rd. Weishart now down the back straightaway. Watch the speed climb. We're going to be almost north of 190 going into turn 3, 186. That wasn't as high of a straightaway speed as I saw from DeLeo. So I'm curious again if that second lap will be faster. A little bobble out of turn 4, but he gathers it up across the line for his first lap.
Up 187 across the line, and Weishart 30.90. Ran the outside the entirety of his first lap. Now he's around the middle, going through 1 and 2 and headed down the backstretch at 180 plus.
This time off into turn 3. Numbers are similar, 187, a little bit more speed on the end of the back straight that he'll carry off into turn 3. And now out of turn 4, chasing the car up the hill again. It is walking up the hill, but Weishart comes across the line, 30.488. That'll put him second.
Well, even after that wiggle, still a good time for the 33. Better than 22 of DeLeo, but will it be better than the 91 of Jake Nichols?
Riding really high in 3 and 4 to build that run for the front straightaway. He's coming to the checkers on his first lap, so this will be a timed lap. And Nichols' first lap of 30.898. He'll be banking on that second lap to really take him to the front. Ooh, you can see the wheel wobbling back and forth there. He charged into turn 1, chased it up the racetrack a little bit. The stability doesn't seem like it's there here in the opening laps of the run.
See what he can do, go down into 3 and 4. Everybody trying to get down as close as they can to that white line on the bottom. Right there is where Weishart had his bobble. Looked pretty neat that time for the 91. He comes across the stripe, and Jake Nichols, 30.53.
That will put
it
him...
is not quicker than Weishart.
Yeah, 3rd place behind Weishart right now. So Balancino, Weishart, Nichols, your top 3. Ryan Swan is on track, finishing up his lap in his number 1 Rick's Hot Sauce Chevrolet Camaro.
Around 31.5 going in the lap 1. Whoa, bobble there on the apron coming out of turn 4 for lap number 2. So it's a 30.8 for the number 1.
So he will go up to 9th place. James Scioli now joining the racetrack on the backstretch.
Scioli is the last of the Championship 4 who has yet to put up a time in qualifying, but he's been on a hot streak, not only in the Cup Series, but the Launchbox Series as well. Going to go for a title Thursday night in that series over on the Area iRacing Twitch channel as he comes across the track to start lap number 1.
Just a little bit of a lift to get the car settled. He's right back into throttle. Again, using the middle of the racetrack. The bottom seems to be a little bit too restrictive. You want to let the wheel unwind just enough and carry the speed off into turn 3. Scioli looking good here, but lap 1 has been the slower of the two for almost every driver so far.
Yeah, and his finish on mile and a half this season, Scioli is 8 flat. So there's a 30.8 for the number 7. We'll see what he can do on lap number 2.
Looked a little bit more sturdy through turn 1 and 2 than Jake Nichols did. Wasn't bobbling the wheel around quite so much. But Scioli would like to put himself right with Weishart and Nichols. This looks a lot like practice did. If Scioli can put himself inside the top 5. Across the line now for the number 7 playoff competitor, 30.501. He will split the difference and go between Weishart and Nichols. That was a phenomenal run there.
Balancino still on pole with a minute remaining. We'll see if Chris Seinfein can go ahead and dethrone that number 70. It's close to our track record set by David Weishart last season at a 30.217. They're running just about a tenth off of track record time.
Tidenfiden's first lap, very slow, but we'll see what lap 2 brings for the number 45 Ford Mustang. Jacob Bell is also on track, and a big slide for the 45. And Hunter, I don't think he's going to catch it.
No, don't think he'll hit the wall unless he self-drives it into it, but not a good time there for Simon Finding. Gonna have to start from deep in the field. Jacob Bell, 12th quickest, 30.9 on his first lap. Nearly gets high coming out of 2. Was close there. We'll see what he does in 3 and 4.
Yeah, first lap was only 12th quick. But as we've said, the second lap has been the faster of the 2. So here comes Jacob Bell out of turn number 4. Across the line for driver number 77. 30.730. That will put him... Well, it was an invalid time, so he must have scraped the wall somewhere. Oh, he might have run out of time as well there, Hunter, but that will do it for qualifying.
Yeah, say he was kind of close with that time, but it was invalidated for the 77, so he will have to start deep in the field as well, and we'll get the starting lineup for you guys in just a moment. The Cash That 210 here, presented by Elwood Designs. Championship race for the Area Elite Entertainment Cup Series, powered by Bud Kicker, Jake Nichols, James Scioli, David Weishart, and Dom DeLeo. The championship 4 all going at it to hoist that trophy in the desert.
All right, here's your starting lineup. Starting on row number 1 is the number 70 of Alan Ballacino. David Weishart, a playoff competitor, rolls off in that front row.
Row 2, a pair of Championship 4 drivers. James Scioli starting 3rd, and starting 4th is arguably the favorite amongst the fans in the field, Jake Nichols.
Row number 3, Matthew Robinson rolls off 5th in the number 34, and Ryan Hart starts 6th in the number 3.
Row 4, Garrett Grant making his 100th career start in Area iRacing, going to roll off 7th, and rolling off 8th is the 11 of Jordan Martin.
Starting 9th. Another playoff competitor, Dom DeLeo in the number 22. He'll start alongside Ryan Swan in the number 1 and 10th.
Row 6, Cameron Hearn can roll off 11th, and rolling off 12th is Jacob Bell.
Starting 13th is Rafe Slate in the number 12, and Chris Seidenfeiden starts 14th in the number 45.
15th going to be Brad Slaughter, 16th Swervin Irvin, Paul Irvin.
17th place will be Tyler Nichols in the number 79, and Forrest Smith in 18th in the number 84.
19th, Ed Robertson, and 20th, Dwayne Culberson. We got one more with a row all to himself. Adam Capps going to roll off 21st.
There's your starting lineup here, 140 laps for the Cash That Podcast 210. Alan Ballacino on the inside, Weishart on the outside. The 4 playoff competitors will be lit up on the timing and scoring on the left-hand side of the screen. We'll be following that battle all night long, but there are about 17 other racers that are out here going for what they can. Brad Slaughter Jr. did not take the grid, so he will not start the race, at least from the racetrack. He might roll off from the pits in a little while, but for now, he will not start this race. 140 laps to decide our champion in the Area Elite Entertainment Cup Series finale here from Las Vegas. Roll the dice and hope you've got what it takes. Maybe you need a little bit of luck here, too. In Sin City, the pace car will take the hard left onto pit lane, and time to go racing in Las Vegas. The Elite Entertainment Cup Series finale at Las Vegas is green. Lap 1 is complete. Alan Ballacino leads the way, but James Scioli is coming for him, right behind him as they enter turn 1.
That outside line did not get a good start. The 7 did. Now he's looking to the outside of Ballacino. Might have a run here coming off turn 2. Ballacino loose. Here comes Scioli on the outside.
Yeah, Ballacino bobbled, and that lets Scioli drive up to the outside lane. Can he clear him in turn 3, though? Ballacino still hanging tough on the inside lane.
Scioli coming off turn 4. Ballacino going to have some momentum, maybe some side draft at the line. Scioli will lead it. It's a bonus point, but it won't go towards the championship. All you got to do is finish in front of the other 3 competitors, and there's that run to the outside. Scioli to the lead.
He's got it, put the number 7 on top in the playoff championship. Everyone else single filing out behind him. A little bit of side-by-side with Jacob Bell and Swerve Irvin in the number 48. Did not qualify. And trying to move forward here in the early going.
Whoa, Irvin, yeah, he's living up to the nickname. Swerving down there on the apron, coming out of 4. Some side-by-side action up here. Chris Sine firing on the outside. Garrett Grant on the inside. Rafe Slate now jumping to the outside of the 5.
Yeah, Garrett Grant in his 100th start. Oh, big understeer underneath Rafe Slate and has to jump out of the throttle. Now Jacob Bell will have a run on the 5, but Garrett Grant leaves only about 3/4 of a car width to the outside, so the 77 can't slide in. Scioli leads by about 0.3 of a second. It was a strong start for the number 7, but will that speed stay that way? Balacino back to the bottom in turn 1.
Balacino looking to get that run off the corner. Still close to the 7, not letting him go just yet, but as you see throughout the field, it's a conga line from David Weishart on back.
A little bit of side-by-side. There is the 22 of Dom DeLeo. He needs to move forward tonight at some point. He doesn't have to rush it, doesn't have to charge up there fast, but he needs to find some speed at some point in this race, and he's got traffic early, the one of Ryan Swan to his outside.
DeLeo actually has the 2nd best average finish amongst the championship 4 on the 1.5 mile, sitting at 7 even, and his best finish on a 1.5 mile this season came at Charlotte with a 4th place finish, and he's already up to 8th and looking for 7th, trying to get underneath the 11 of Jordan Martin.
That's impressive that he's got one of the best average finishes, considering his best finish is a 4th. So he might have to do even better than that tonight to have a realistic shot at this championship. I'll tell you what, though, Alan Balacino coming back on Scioli. It's not getting any bigger here for the lead up front. Boris Smith slow.
There.
And I don't know if he was down on the grass or something. Let's have a look.
Oh, he lost over in 4. And he was in the grass.
Big long slide and kept it in the dirt to not bring out the yellow. And good on him. He drove all the way through the grass to the other side of the front straightaway and popped out in 20th.
Not sure if the groundskeeping crew going to love that. Here's the 12 of Slate down to the bottom of Cameron Hearn in the 67 for the 10th spot.
Good racing here, and there was a lot of nervousness in the cars in qualifying that they don't seem to have now. As the night continues on, the grip level should continue to rise. The 67 going to try to go middle 3 wide for a moment. Now he's clear to the bottom, so he'll drop down a lane and work over the one of Ryan Swan. Big slide for Chris Seidenfeld and drops onto the apron.
Yeah, Chris holding on to that car. Meanwhile, up front, Bow for the lead heading into turn 1. Balacino still trying to work that bottom. Couldn't quite get it, though. The 7 Scioli with the run coming out of 2. And there you see Jake Nichols in the 91. He's broken away from 4th place David Weishart and is now trying to catch up to the top 2.
DeLeo moving forward now has Jordan Martin in his sights on the outside. Just behind him, Slate and Hearn still going at it. But Nichols, as you mentioned, has separated himself from the battles behind it. He can only focus forward now as Balacino relentlessly tries the bottom. He's not losing ground. He's not gaining a ton, though, either.
Yeah, almost reminiscent of what we've seen from the most recent Cup race at Michigan. Oh, and one car, Robinson, the 34, looking close to the wall. Couldn't quite get it. He kept the car going straight, but like I was saying, almost reminiscent of what we saw from Michigan. The outside lane is the dominant group, but that won't stop cars from trying to get a run on the bottom.
Yeah, a little nervous energy from the 34 on the backstretch, kind of dropping to the inside lane. Jordan Martin trying to squeeze up to the outside on turn 4, but didn't have enough of a run to do anything with it. And Dom DeLeo just sitting behind all this, hoping he could just get some clean air and get out of this mess. This is a dangerous spot to be. A lot of motion, a lot of action around the bottom half of the top 10 right now.
Yeah, Robinson currently falling towards the back. All the momentum's on that outside lane, but now Cameron Hearn going to dive down to the inside. Looking below, no, he'll get tucked back in line behind Rafe Slate. DeLeo looking past Robinson, now Slate to the outside of the 34.
DeLeo is moving forward one position at a time. The 11, I think, bounced off the wall. Yes, he did, and here comes the 22 with a big run.
This is the eye of the storm right here.
It really is. There's nowhere to go for a couple of the drivers. Rafe Slade, if something happened, he'd be in the middle of it.
Ryan Hartz is clear of this mess behind him. Still door to door. Martin close to the wall again. DeLeo still trying to fight on that bottom. Here comes Rafe Slade. Can he give a push to the outside for the 11th?
Still lots of movement back here as Balacino is working over Scioli still. Giving him a push almost down the front straightaway. Now dropping to the bottom, battle for the lead.
Gonna slide up. Ooh. Side by side coming out too. Scioli close to scraping the wall. Jake Nichols likes to see that. He wants to see more of it because he's catching these two.
Oh, look how close that was. Big push for the 70 following Scioli. And you're right, Nichols is loving seeing that out the windshield. Behind him, David Weishart sees the 91 driving away. That's a frightening sight to see one of your playoff competitors have so much speed here this early in the race.
DeLeo's moved up to 6th, and he's on the bumper of Hartz trying to get that 5th spot, but he's still got the 12 of Slate looking down to the bottom. Jordan Martin.
Wow, that was close.
He's going to hit the wall again if he keeps doing that. He's already hit it once. It won't surprise me when he hits it again this time by.
Small margins for error here at Las Vegas with carrying speed on corner exit there. Balacino still working over Scioli, but Scioli has a lot of pace right now.
Throws that 70 of Balacino. He continues to dive on the bottom, just trying to get enough momentum to have some side draft on the quarter panel. Still can't do it right there.
Mostly single file now with the exception of this man. Dom DeLeo still picking him off one by one up to 6th and working over Hartz for 5th out of turn 4.
84 of Forrest Smith has called it a night. He's out of the race, so 19 cars still on track. Brad Slaughter has yet to join the racetrack as the 70 of Balacino, strong run to the inside. Scioli, strong run on the outside, and right behind the two, closing in, is the 91 of Jake Nichols.
We're seeing the outside and the inside. Their pros and cons go to work right now. The 70 using the short way around. The 7 using the outside lane to carry momentum and stay in the throttle longer and get back in it sooner. But both giving up ground to the number 91 of Jake Nichols.
And he's right there. He's knocking on the door of Scioli.
And Balacino takes the lead away with that run through turn 2.
Scioli didn't have to take the lead, but being the leader, you have all that clean air. But all the side-by-side action that's been going between he and Balacino. Nichols going to take advantage of that. Try to get her on the outside. Going to tuck back in line.
Middle groove, take the line so that he can't use it. Ooh, a little slide from Scioli. Had to check up, and here comes Nichols with a big run down the backstretch.
Nichols going to look low. 7 looks low as well.
Don't leave that outside lane open and unattended, though, because that's where Nichols is going to go if the lane is open.
Not too far behind as well is the 33 of David Weishart, the red car you see on your screen.
Top 3 beginning. Going to find their footing here. A little bit more action deeper in the field. Garrett Grant, Ryan Swan is dropping backwards. Chris Seidenfeld in the mix. And just ahead of this, looks like Cameron Hearn is working on Rafe Slate still.
Yeah, these guys are tucked in line. One to stay single file. One to catch up to that top 3, which is what Weishart is trying to do. Nichols down to the inside of Scioli for 2nd. And Scioli still putting up a fight. 91 wiggling up the track. 7 wiggling as well. They're door to door down the back.
Yeah, again, Scioli has been leaning on that momentum on the outside lane, but Nichols almost had him cleared through the middle of 1 and 2 with the pace that he was carrying down there. He just had to lift, and when he did, it took all the weight and shuffled it around, and then the 91 had to lift. So didn't quite work out for Nichols, but he should be able to clear him this time into turn 1. He's got a great head of steam.
going to use that outside lane, try to get a run coming off of 2. He's still looking to the outside. Nope, can't do it. Nichols going to clear the 7 of Scioli.
He's got it. Jake Nichols, P2, and now the leader in the championship 4. There's Jacob Bell, Matthew Robinson. The 34 car has begun to drift a little bit. Initially started this race up in 5th, I should say, and dropped 5 spots to 10th, so he's going the wrong direction quickly.
Yeah, it seems like he's got short run speed underneath that 34, and right behind him, Powell for 11th going on. Jacob Bell starting to fall back. Eric Grant trying to work his way up, and the 1 of Swan in the mix as well.
Swan watching all this out the windshield right now. I hear the cars bottoming out a ton as well. That's something I noticed when I was just shooting the thumbnail for this broadcast, Hunter, is that there's a lot of ground contact with the car here. So I wonder how much that's going to change. I mean, the tire pressures and the ride height have to be set pretty low to get that much contact with the ground. It's definitely hurting the handling here.
Yeah, hurt right there for the 12. He's going to lose a spot to Cameron Hearn, moving up to 7th. Slate moving down to 8th. But it's those bumps that are in the corner, and with how flat the car is, it gets it all out of shape, and the diffuser as well adds another element to that.
Up front, Alan Ballacino still leads. Jake Nichols, though, was a hair quicker last time by, just about half a tenth. And now the 33 of Weishart is beginning to creep into the picture. Was quicker than all 3 of the drivers ahead of him last time around.
Yeah, he was closing in.
Trouble back straight away.
Spin.
Paul Irvin and the 45 of Seidenfeiten.
There's no caution yet. They're below the apron. 45's going to tow the car to pit road. Paul Irvin might do the same. There's still no caution being thrown out.
Yeah, let's see what happened. Seidenfeiten was up the road a little bit and comes up on the 1. Whoa! What happened there?
Oh, and then he comes down and 48's trying to miss it, gets clipped.
Yeah, very strange that Seidenfeiten kind of looked like he was aiming for the 1. But the 1 had a big check up there, and the 45 just didn't lift in time. And then kind of comes off the wall and tags 48 of Irvin, who had nowhere to go.
Yeah, that is a strange one. He tried to miss the 1, but when he stopped, he just went straight instead of away from it. This is the point of view from Irvin.
Didn't get quite far enough down. Did a good job locking the car down, but might have some damage here. And
yeah, a good bit of damage.
2 laps down now. Oh, the right rear suspension is totally destroyed. That will be the end of the night for Paul Irvin. That is a shame.
Yeah, you can see from that right rear, it is not looking pretty like it did over in pre-race. And that did not bring out a caution. Still green flag racing, and Nichols has caught up with the 70 of Balancino, now waiting to make the move on the number 70.
He's got a lot of steam coming now. This 91 is just not falling off the way that the others have. The only car quicker right now is David Weishart, who's actually catching Scioli. So all 4 of our championship runners are 2, 3, 4, 5 now, with DeLeo having worked his way into 5th place. And a good run by DeLeo. Again, I was a little concerned with his qualifying effort if he would have the pace, but he's continuing to move forward and is now right behind his other competitors. He needs a little bit more pace to get up with them and stay there, but he's on the right direction.
Balancino not going to make it easy for Nichols. Again, he's going after that win. Nichols adding a win to that would be good enough for him. He just has to be in front of those championship 4 that are right behind him, but adding another win wouldn't hurt. It'd be 9 wins in the season, and he is on that bumper heading into turn 1.
All over it. Balancino drives it in deep. Nichols lifts and turns to the bottom.
Got the run down the back. The 7 and the 33 are close as well. Balancino going to try and give it everything he's got on that outside, see if he can get a runoff, but that 91 of Jake Nichols is too strong. Going to come off the corner and clear Balancino. Now here comes Scioli trying to get close enough to make a move on Balancino.
Yeah, the 70 tried the high line in 3 and 4. Now, historically, I just have not seen the outside work as well there as it does in 1 and 2. If I was doing anything, it would be top in 1 and 2 and bottom in 3 and 4. It's kind of an interesting racetrack from that perspective. While it mathematically looks the same, it doesn't drive the same from end to end. Here's Scioli now going the long way around. Again, I don't think this is going to work. And he's going to throttle up.
He's going to slide up.
Yeah, well, he's only going to do that because the 70 had to lift, and a big bobble from Scioli.
That's going to allow Nichols to drive away with it. Oh, and in the back, battle for second going on right here, but a battle for fifth. Hartz to the inside of DeLeo.
And DeLeo going the wrong direction now as Hartz goes on by. Check back in on that battle for second. Scioli, Balacino, and now Weishart. Can he sneak to the outside of the 70? Yes, he will.
He's got the run.
So DeLeo has been passed for fifth. He will drop to sixth place now as the other championship three have moved forward into first, second, and third.
Well, Paul Irvin isn't too happy about that, saying, I guess I need to go all the way to the inside wall next time to miss a guy that slams it off turn two. Frustration settling in. Last race of the season, just wanted to log laps it and have a good run, and not the case for either Irvin or Seidenfight.
Yeah, can you blame him for the frustration? Nowhere really for him to go. Here's Cameron Hearn, and now getting around Dom DeLeo. This 22 is fading after an initial climb forward. It seems like the tire's falling off a little quicker on this car versus the others. 2/10 slower than the others around him last time by.
A longer run started to kick in, and 22 starting to lose that grip a little bit. Hearn to the inside. Slate, though, going to give a momentum push on the outside for DeLeo. Going to clear him for the moment. Now Slate trying to get around the 67 of Hearn.
Well, Slate's not leaving a ton of space there as they go side by side through 3 and 4. And back up onto the front straight.
They're dead even at the stripe for that.
Still door-to-door into turn 1. Slate on the outside. 60. I just realized the 12's roof number is upside down. Has that been like that forever?
Oh, yeah. Just like it was intended to be.
Okay. There's the 67 to the bottom, and he just sends it in for a lunge. And they're just, this is incredible racing here. Ford versus Chevrolet the old-fashioned way.
Absolutely no Pontiac, no Toyota, no none of that, as the fans like to say, but there's good hard racing between the Chevy and the Ford.
Great racing. They've been side by side for 2 or 3 laps. Someone's going to have to give it up. It will be Hearn for now, back up the road. Weishart trying to fend off Balacino after completing that pass a couple of laps ago. He started to lose a little bit of ground to James Scioli, who's lost a lot of distance to Jake Nichols in that 91, who is just setting the pace here early. If you let Jake Nichols control this race, everybody else is in big trouble.
Getting into tonight, Jake Nichols has led the most laps on 1.5 miles, sitting at 150, and that 33 car right there, second in line on the championship Ford, led 128. James Scioli 15, and Dominic DeLeo only 5 laps led on 1.5 miles.
This battle is just one that will not end. Cameron Hearn trying to get back alongside Rafe Slate. And Slate puts at least a car length on him out of turn 4 that time through.
Calm for the most part, spread out throughout the field. Well, as soon as I say calm, 67 and 12 going to go side by side again. 12 sliding up a little bit. Slate on the outside, Hearn on the inside, down the back.
He's persistent. He's the mosquito in the ear of Rafe Slate right now. Cameron Hearn is going to chase him up the road. They're going to touch once.
Oh, nearly in the wall goes Slate.
This is for 7th place. You'd think it'd be for the lead on the last lap. They have just been going at this. And finally, the 67 clears the 12, but look at Rafe setting up the backstretch with a huge run.
And try and cross him over and maybe have a dive at it going into turn 3.
Getting in the throttle a lot sooner than the 67, but it might have just been enough to give Hearn the advantage he was desiring as we jump back up to Scioli and Weishart. So the 33 has chopped that advantage from Scioli to the 33 down. And second place is becoming volatile once again, a full second behind Jake Nichols. You have to start thinking about pit stops relatively soon here as well as we hit lap 40.
Yep, closing in on the fuel run, which we have it at 45 to 48 laps. So these guys are going to have to make at least 2 pit stops before the this one ends. This is if we go green to the finish. If we have caution after caution, then it could just be a one-stop for some.
Yeah, again, we had one incident that was almost a yellow, but this is already looking a lot like the race that we saw last week at Michigan. So I could expect that we would go caution-free in this one, and I would be planning my strategy around that. And especially for DeLeo, I mean, the way things have been looking for that 22, he's got some pace, but he doesn't have the pace over the long run that Nichols and Scioli and Weishart have. So would you already, Hunter, be trying to concept something different, some other strategy to help you move forward, or would you try to stick with it until you get desperate?
Would stick until I start to get desperate. We aren't even halfway through yet. Caution could come out between now and the halfway point. Then about, I'd say around lap 90 or so, whenever you're going to make your final pit stop, I would be a little worried, like, okay, what am I going to do? What do I have to do to undercut the championship for? Because they're all sitting in the top three. DeLeo's sitting in sixth. So you have to figure something out if it becomes that scenario.
The battles have begun to fizzle at this stage, at least deeper in the field. Weishart trying to fend off at Alan Palacino. Alan has been really committed to the bottom of the racetrack in turns 1 and 2. He hasn't really deviated from that, and it hasn't not worked for him, Hunter. I mean, I know he's dropped a couple positions, but he's been able to fend off these drivers for quite some time by sticking with what he knows.
Yeah, haven't seen him run the outside for the most part, and the only time he did really didn't have the run he needed against Jake Nichols, but he settled in third quite nicely and still trying to work that bottom over here in 1 and 2. Trying to get beneath the 33. It's not going to be enough, though, this time.
We're waiting for the first of the pit stop dominoes to fall. We have not seen any of our running competitors hit pit lane just yet. They'll probably wait a little bit longer before we start to see them. But could someone try a different strategy? I think they're going to try to split this, as you mentioned, that two-stop race. You would think you'd try to split this relatively equally, but here is the first domino to fall, and that is Jordan Martin.
Yep. These guys are going at it, just trying to run whatever they can and trying to undercut the rest of the field. Jordan Martin won at Talladega in order to make the playoffs, and he's just kind of been riding around the postseason, no real pressure, into trying to win the championship. Oh, almost slid over his pit box. So we'll see if he has any strategy to try and get up a few positions. And got some more takers coming on pit road.
Yeah, a bunch this time. Jacob Bell, Garrett Grant have also decided to come on down. Looks like Ryan Swan is also there as well. As Jordan Martin leaves his stop, 13.2, not a bad one by any means or any stretch. As here is Cameron Hearn going around Dom DeLeo, who is going to bail and come hit pit lane. He'll follow in Ryan Hartz and the 12 race slate and more. Looks like the 7 and 33 are also in with the 3 car.
Yeah, a good bit of drivers making their pit stops. There's Grant and Bell, Swan coming out of their pit box. And then in comes Scioli, going to make his stop here. Then you got Slate, DeLeo, Hartz, Weishart. And you got some more drivers in the back coming down pit road. There's Robinson making his way through.
Dwayne Culberson is down. Tyler Nichols is down. Adam Capps is down. As the leader continues to circulate. And this is what Jake Nichols is so good at. He's been able to establish his lead. He knows that he might lose the lead during this pit stop sequence, but he is playing the long game here. He's doing the overcut. He'll have better tires later in the run and be able to pass everyone back later in the race when they assign those points.
Yeah, really, this will be our look at how long these guys can go without pitting. And as soon as I say that, there goes the 91 down pit road.
Nice aggressive entry. Takes full advantage of the brakes on this next-gen car and is into the pits as he crosses the stripe to begin lap number 50. Alan Balacino still out on the racetrack, and he will be the last driver to hit pit lane.
Yep, Adam Robertson just now coming down pit road, so everybody else has made their first pit stop of the race, and Balacino looking probably to see if he can stretch it to lap 50 or if he'll come down this time.
Gonna go around again.
This will be an early indication as to how far these guys can go on a tank of fuel. Remember, 45 to 48 was the initial report, and Jordan Martin made his pit stop right on lap 45. Everybody else has made their pit stop within that 45 to 48 window, including the 7 of Scioli, which we'll see past the 91 of Jake Nichols. So once the 70 pits, that is the battle for the lead position, which is now turned over to the hands of Scioli. And here comes Valancino.
Nope, stays out.
Gonna go another lap around.
Yeah, he's really hauling. I mean, I thought he was coming to pit lane, but he has made it now 50 full laps. And again, I like this overcut strategy. I think this is the way to go, especially for a guy that was struggling a little bit. Instead of bailing and coming to pit lane early, he is sticking to his guns and staying out on the racetrack. He'll have the tire advantage later in the run. I like this call for the number 70 car. It's going to cost him in the short term, but long term, I think it will be a big plus.
That's speed. He's got speed capable of winning this race. He's going to go another lap again. But you know, he's going at it for a win. Second, third, fourth, it'll be good, but it won't cut it. These guys want to win.
He continues to circulate, leading the way. James Scioli would cycle to be your race leader as it stands with a 1.8 second lead over Jake Nichols. And the difference in pit lap was only 2 laps. So that's what the tires do for you. You're a full 2 seconds slower on old tires versus fresh ones as the 7 catches the 70 mid-corner. That's really dicey stuff.
Yeah, I think Valancino was, I don't know if he was trying to come down pit road. He was definitely looking slower than the 7, but he's going to go another lap, and it'll be interesting to see how long he can go, because I thought he was going to pit that time by, but the 7 was right on him. And these two, no matter where they come out of pit road, they're still next to each other. Slate on the bottom, Hearn getting the run on the outside.
Wow, that 12 was bobbling that car all over the place that time through. Oh, they touched. Again.
Yeah, very close racing here. Right behind Dom DeLeo.
Yeah, I'm sure Dom wants nothing to do with this. These two fighting just for a race win tonight. DeLeo sees it all happening in the mirror and probably would rather not. Here comes Jake Nichols now around Valancino, unlapping himself. All right, this might be a little bit on the long side there for the overcut, but Valancino seems like he's still sticking to it. Still on throttle, still coming.
He's still going, wow. I know they can go at least 54 laps, maybe 55. If this goes green to the end, then it'll be good for fuel mileage, but I don't know. If we got a yellow, it could spice some things up.
There's Valancino real slow on the backstretch and getting passed by a whole bunch of drivers. Now he's downshifting, and this time he's coming to pit lane finally after 55 laps. He will drop a bunch of positions with this strategy in the short term, but will it pay off later in the race? That's pretty extreme for an overcut, Hunter. I'm not sure I like how the level that he took it to. I think what James Scioli did was great. He's actually grown his advantage over Jake Nichols by a couple tenths of a second.
Yeah, he was able to get around the 91 of Nichols from the pit cycles, and going to swap over the Ford of Valancino for the Ford of James Scioli over into the lead. So now the top 5 is going to be James Scioli, Jake Nichols, David Weishart, Ryan Hartz, and Dom DeLeo. So 4 of the top 5 are championship 4 contenders, with the highest being James Scioli.
Good battle still happening elsewhere on the racetrack. And Rafe Slayton, Cameron Hearn, imagine this was for the championship. We'd have the cameras on these two all night long.
Yeah, they are still going at it. They've caught up to the bumper of DeLeo, but they know the situation he's in. They don't want to involve him into it, don't want to get him tied up. DeLeo actually looking to the inside for the 5th spot, actually 4th spot on Hartz. DeLeo running in 5th. Oh, I'll lose it. Now he's got the 67 to the outside. Slate going to give him a bump down the back, with the momentum pushing the 3. Now DeLeo's got to try to stay in front of Hearn.
Yeah, they kind of cut him a break there. He made a mistake, and they didn't try to swarm him, but this time they're going to have to do something with it. They're being held up now, so Hearn drives around to the outside of the 22 of DeLeo, and Slate will probably try to follow here in turn 1.
DeLeo with no momentum on the bottom, Hearn with some momentum from the 12, and they're both going to get around the 22. Going to drop down to 7th now. Hearn inside the top 5 with Slade up to 6th.
Out front, James Scioli leads the way. He and the 91 of Jake Nichols have been the dominant cars so far. Scioli has led 18 laps, and so has Jake Nichols, exactly on the dot. But it doesn't matter. Points don't matter tonight for these four, Scioli, Nichols, Weishart, and DeLeo. It's only whoever finishes in front of the other. Scioli made a bit of a track position play in the long run here, or the short run here, kind of undercutting Jake Nichols, and it is working out for him. So that's something that he has learned he can do again, the great efficacy. Now, Nichols also learned something from that too, so don't think he won't try to make the same play later.
Now, Jake Nichols he's one that's able to master his craft with the older tires and the longer run, so we'll see if he can slowly close in on that gap. Meanwhile, whoa, there's a big wiggle there from the one of Swan. I don't know if the 70 Balancino caught him off guard, but he has the freshest tires in the field. Went 55 laps on a tank of fuel and 4 sets of tires, or 4 tires, so he's going to have a new set on right now, and he's putting those new tires to good work.
Yeah, I think that the danger with the strategy that Balancino is playing is that, yeah, he's got better tires now, but they're not that much better. I mean, they're half second, 7/10 faster, which is helpful, but he's 14 seconds back. That overcut play works very, very well if you're only overcutting by 5 or 6 laps. He overcut by, 10 or so laps. Yeah, about 9 or 10 laps. That's too much, I think. And by the time that he gets up to Scioli and Nichols, he's going to have no tires left. I think his run will stall before he gets there. So that was a bit too much, too extreme for me. We'll see if it pays off, though. I could stand to be corrected.
Dom DeLeo actually got back around the 12, now trying to close in on the 67 here. Got a little 3-car pack here for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Weishart, Hartz, and Hearn.
Weishart trying to keep everybody behind him as the other two scoot away. Jake Nichols has begun to chunk out of Scioli's lead the last couple times around. Is down under a second to Scioli, as everybody back here fighting for the scraps left over from 3rd on back.
Hearn moving past Hartz for 4th. Now he's the highest of those not running for the championship, and his one goal is to win tonight in the cup level. Right behind DeLeo, trying to peek down to the inside of Hartz. Not going to have the run just yet. Slate creeping a little further back, trying to keep up with the 22, but 3rd through 7th all in this picture.
Matthew Robinson, Jacob Bell having a bit of a fight here, but Jake Nichols is really coming now on Scioli. Whatever, the tires have begun to fall off a cliff, I think, for the 7 for about 15 laps. That strategy worked great, and now as we approach lap 20 on this run for Scioli, those tires are beginning to fade. In comparison to Jake Nichols, who pitted 2 laps later, it seems like the 91 has got the speed now.
The biggest difference right there, 2 laps fresher tires for the 91 of Nichols compared to the 7 of Scioli, and he's closed that gap quite a bit. 31.3 last time by for the 91, and he's gotten into 3 car lengths himself and Scioli.
He's carrying so much more speed right now. You've got to feel like Superman with the extra rubber you've got under your car at the moment. Approaching the halfway point of the race, which will be at the conclusion of lap number 70. But pit stops we can expect around lap 90 to 100 for that final run to the end.
Yeah, if you want to pit as early as you can, maybe lap 85, anywhere between 85 to 90 would be good to go if you wanted to stretch it on fuel, but I don't think that'll be the case, as we saw Balancino go 55 laps, and he's only in 11th. Now battling for 10th with Grant, but there he is to the inside. Going to have a battle for the lead here on the front stretch, heading into turn 1. Oh, shut the door. Nope. Going to find his way through the crack of the door. The 91 of Jake Nichols down below the 7 of Scioli. Going to get that run off the turn 2. Going to be side by side down the back.
Yeah, if Scioli can fight off the 91 here for a couple laps, make him use up his tires, he might be able to equalize this advantage. But if the 91 just gets by and sets sail like he's trying to do here, then that's bad news with 2 lap fresher tires. But I think Jake Nichols is going to get it done here, and he does.
7, still trying to get some side draft.
I don't think he's quite got the advantage right behind the 91. They almost touched bumpers into turn 1. Meanwhile, though, DeLeo just got by the 67 and 3, I believe, or is about to get passed by them. I think he's got a couple lap older tires. Oh, he's actually right with Weishart and the others.
Yeah, he got around both of them.
Nicely done. Puts him right up to the top with the other 3 playoff competitors. He's still been fighting up from the bottom of that group with the brighter blue numbers in the playoffs, but he's in the mix, and if we were to get a caution or a late race restart, I'm not taking my money off that 22, that's for sure.
I wouldn't either, but that might help the 70 Valentino again. He's only up to 8th still. And the tires, they can only be fresh for so long until they even out.
Yeah, so here's a look at it. So Balacino's last lap was a 31.561. That was only about 0.2 quicker than the race leader. So he's still back, 4 or 5 positions from where he was, and his advantage is quickly going away. So I don't think that was the play. Maybe to an extent, but again, too long for that really to work out for him. There's the 11 of Jordan Martin going a lap down.
Yeah, unless he sees us going green to the end, then it'll be a huge advantage in the very end. We saw him go 55 laps, and if that were the case again, we don't have a caution. Be making a pit stop around 105 to 110, giving him about 30 laps of fresh tires. But if he's this far back after the first time, I don't know how far back he's going to be the second time.
Halfway in the Cash That Podcast, 2:10 here from Las Vegas, the season finale for the Elite Entertainment Cup Series, Hunter. Jake Nichols leads the way, but Scioli's been fighting him for it here at the top of the order.
Yeah, he leads the way with our halfway rundown presented by Swift Lifestyles. Fans, be sure to visit our sponsor, Swift Lifestyles, for clean supplements to help improve your focus in gaming. Use discount code Area iRacing for 15% off your entire order. We will once again like to give a big thanks to Swift Lifestyles for their continued support of Area iRacing all season long. And it's the last one of the Cup Series season, and being led off by the 91 of Jake Nichols, who entered tonight as the favorite to win the championship. Started over in 4th, worked his way up inside the first position, just got around the 7 of Scioli. It's been a dogfight between those two, but the 91 entered tonight. 8 wins on the season, looking to add win number 9 to it. Right behind him, James Scioli's been the second fiddle tonight. He's really picked it up in the postseason. Average finish of 8.0, 8 flat on the mile and a half, so he's looking to increase that by 1 more position, trying to get back around 91 to Jake Nichols over into 3rd. Again, every time we do the rundown, it seems like David Weishart is running in 3rd. He's had a really solid car, but want to be up a couple more spots, trying to defend that Season 1 Cup title. And right behind him, Dominic DeLeo. He's had quite a bit of work to make up, and he's done it. He's inside the top 4, running in the 4th spot, but going to have to fight a little more if he wants to hoist that trophy at the end of the race. And over in 5th, boy, Cameron Hearn, he's been inside the top 10 all night, made contact with a couple of cars, but it's worked off. He's got the 5th position currently, trying to fend off the 3 of Ryan Hartz right behind him. Ryan, he's had an eventful night. He's basically in the same spot that he started in, but he's been inside the top 5. He's faded a little bit back and trying to make up some ground, trying to get around that 67. No pressure for him, though, from behind, because Rafe Slate is a little bit away, so some breathing room there for Ryan Hartz. And Rafe Slate has had quite a bit of ground he's made up. Started 13th up to 7th, made contact. He's had a good battle with Cameron Hearn throughout the race, but it seemed to have died down for the moment. Running in the 8th spot, Alan Balancino stretched it the furthest on fuel. Went 55 laps, but strategy not really paying off. He's still making up ground, but he's still a bit ways back from the leader. He was inside the top 5, but stretched it on fuel, and now trying to work his way back inside the top 5. Matthew Robinson with one of his best runs of the season. Started 5th, fell back to outside the top 10. He's worked his way back inside the top 10, running in the 9th spot. Good run there for the 34. And Garrett Grant in his 100th start in Area iRacing. He's gotten 57 top 10s up to this point. Looking to make it 58, running in the 10th spot. Solid race so far for the 5 of Garrett Grant, and that was your top 10 rundown presented by Swift Lifestyles.
Big move there from Ryan Hartz trying to get by Cameron Hearn, but he had to lift, and that brings Rafe Slade into the mix, and he will drive right by the number 3. Opportunistic climb there by the 12 to get back to the nemesis he's been battling with tonight in that teal and pink number 67, but it's not quite over yet. Ryan Hart's back to the bottom, trying to get overlap again.
Slade might shut the door on him. Hartz might send it on the bottom. He's just going to tuck in line, and he's going to watch the action unfold in front of him, because once these two get close enough, Hearn and Slate, boy, they're going to be door to door, and they might be banging a little more.
Jake Nichols leads the way. He hasn't sprinted away from Scioli. It's just jogged away from him. Scioli's still within 0.7 of a second. Within striking distance as we approach within about 12 to 15 laps our last pit stop window. So if he can keep that gap within 1 to 1.5 seconds, Hunter, he can redo what he did on that first run to get track position. But you have to start thinking, all right, if I do that again, I'm going to lose the lead just like I did this run for that final run. I don't want to put myself in that spot. So what can Scioli do different? Well, he could try a different strategy like overcut the number 91, but that puts him in danger of ending up like Alan Ballacino. That is a delicate balance to play, whether you're coming in too soon or too late. So Scioli has got to really think about his strategy here.
Yeah, he can do like Nichols and pit a couple laps after he did, like what Jake Nichols did. He waited until Scioli pit, then 2 laps later came in and pit. So maybe Scioli going to try and do that, see how long the 91 can go, and if he can pit on the same time as him, might be good.
I don't hate that strategy, because at least you keep him in your sights, right? Getting him out of your sight is a little bit of a risky move in my opinion, but the challenge is then you're dead equal, and you have to trust that you're better than him. And if you're cocky, you might think that, but the reality is that Jake Nichols has 8 wins for a reason, and I don't know if there's a lot of people better than him at this kind of layout. So Scioli's really got to push tonight and hope that he can find some pace somewhere, whether it's through strategy or through sheer might and will to win the championship.
Yep, and there's Ballacino right there, still slowly closing in, but not as much as he did earlier on in the run. He still has the freshest tires, but they've whittled away quite a bit. He's only worked his way up to the 8th spot, so I would look for him to possibly either stretch it to the end or just try to undercut the field.
Here's a driver we really haven't mentioned at all tonight, Dwayne Culberson with the Solar Flare Racing team. He's got his teammate Tyler Nichols about a car and a half behind him. Ryan Swan is splitting the difference there. They were really high out of turn 2, all kind of running different lines, but Dwayne has had a pretty quiet night, 20th to 13th. He's moving forward and looking pretty good. Tyler Nichols, however, his climb has been a little slower, 17th, only up to 15th.
Yep, Solar Flare still at the top of the team championship standings, so if they can end the season on that note, that'll be good for the whole team as well, with their driver Jake Nichols going at it for the Cup Championship in the driver's side of things, as he is the top Toyota in the field of Fords and Chevys.
All right, at lap 85, means we've got 55 laps to go. We saw the 70 of Ballacino go that far. So you could, if you wanted to. I think we're going to see drivers go a little bit longer, probably lap 90 to 95, maybe even to lap 100 if they're feeling like they really want to play the overcut. But you can expect pit stops relatively soon. Jake Nichols now, he's been in command of this race for much of the night, but he's been pretty on even with James Scioli in terms of laps led. Nichols has led 35, Scioli has led 26, so slight advantage to the 91, but it's not over yet.
Just yet, still got another set of pit stops to go. When that'll happen, only time will tell. It's coming close, though.
You're on, if you're talking with your team, you're playing the strategy in your mind right now. And for Scioli specifically, there's a lot of moving parts to his decision, because it's a long ways back to David Weishart, but I don't think you really care if you finish second, third, or fourth tonight. If you don't win, if you don't beat the other 3, then it's all for naught. I don't know if it really matters if you're second, third, or fourth. So I think there's a lot of drivers, including Weishart, who's been pretty quiet. He might take a big swing at the strategy as well. Typically he's pretty conservative, but think back to Homestead a couple of rounds ago. It was aggressive there. It didn't work out, so maybe he's a little gun-shy tonight.
Yeah, we'll see. He really didn't head into this race with too much confidence. Didn't quite like the setup. It wasn't to his liking, but it's still top 5 speed. Like we said, every time we focus on him, it seems like he's running in the 3rd spot, but that just seems like the position he's meant to be in at this point.
I mean, 3rd's great every night of the year except for this one.
Yeah.
Rafe Slate, Cameron Hearn, Dom DeLeo, these three have been kind of in a trio all night long. Big slide for the 67, aggressively going after it.
Oh, now that's going to allow the 12 to close in. Rafe Slate. Oh, Hearn going to slide it up. DeLeo's going to come down pit road. Try to come down pit road, avoid speeding. This is the undercut. He saw how far Valancino could go on fuel. He's going to try and stretch that.
Yeah, that is an interesting call. He's trying something, hoping he can get out front and maybe get a yellow. I don't hate that strategy. He wasn't going to win it doing the normal strategy, so good call, I think. I mean, it's either going to work or it's not, and if it works, he could win, and if it doesn't, he won't, but he was already not really looking like he was in a position to win this thing. So good on him to make that decision, to be confident about it. Dom DeLeo hits pit lane with about 51 laps to go.
Yep, and I said if I was in that position, I wouldn't try and do a different strategy call in the beginning. I'd wait until after halfway, around lap 90 or so, whenever I know I'm good to go and fuel 100%, and looks like that's what DeLeo did. He's going to come out 1 lap down, but we'll have to see if he can overcut on that and jump in front of the rest of the field.
Yeah, I think his goal is to use the undercut to get ahead of everybody when they hit pit lane. He's got fresher tires. He's going to use them before they all come down, and then hope and pray that somebody makes a mistake and gets in a crash and causes the yellow. Everyone would then come on down and get tires and fuel, and that would put the 22 in front for a restart. So the 22 is making this call with a little bit of fingers crossed. I don't know that it's necessarily going to win him the championship. If we go green to the end, if we get a yellow, it very much could fall into his hands. But not right now. If you get a caution right now, he'll get stuck a lap down.
Here comes Slate coming down pit road. Looks like another driver. Weishart down as well. There's Valancino.
Yeah, Valancino's on down. We know he's good. He ran that thing way too long. Weishart on pit lane. And you mentioned Rafe Slate and Valancino. So does that trigger Scioli and Nichols to come? I don't think Nichols is even going to pay mind to the 33. He'll probably keep in the back of his mind what the 7 car is doing. But really, Scioli's the only one close enough to do anything if this race stays green. And here comes the 7, slams down onto the apron and drags the tires. Did he speed on pit lane?
I think he sped. You saw him slide for that long. It was close to that yellow cone. That's the starting line of when they track the speed. It seemed like he might have gone a little too fast. We'll have to say. I was going to say, it looked like he was getting on the pit road a little too late, a little too hot.
Trying to make up
slide.
ground.
Whoop. Didn't slide over the pit box, but we'll see.
We will find out in about 6 seconds here if Scioli got caught for speeding. The number 7 battling Jake Nichols for the championship, and he's gone, so he's good to go. Wow, that was an aggressive pit entry. Jake Nichols is on pit lane.
Nichols seeing that, going to try and jump on top of that now.
That was a good call. He saw that the 7 car came, so he reacted to him. And Scioli gets up and rolling. There's Weishart in the background and Dom DeLeo right behind him.
Yep, so his strategy, trying to get behind the 33, it works. Here comes the 91 of Nichols coming out of pit road. Had Robertson right behind us as well, but this is what we're going to have to keep an eye on. The 7 and the 91 far in front, but he can't merge onto the track until the exit of turn 2 past that cone. You just see on the left, he's going to come out, but the 7's going to be in front. Actually, no, that was the other car. So Nichols actually did come out in front of the 7 of Scioli.
Yeah, impeccable pit road entry by Jake Nichols. Even though Scioli pushed the limits, Nichols was that much faster. And Scioli comes out right behind the number 91 and did not take the advantage. So Nichols covered that absolutely beautifully. Textbook for the number 91. Now Scioli knows if he wants to win this championship, he has to beat that number 91. He has to pass him. So how do you figure it out? The 91's got 1 lap fresher tires. That's not significant. For all intents and purposes, they're almost equal. Can the 7 get back by him?
Gosh, it's going to be tough. The short run, he might have an opportunity again around him, but the longer that run goes, the quicker that 91 car gets.
Yeah, Scioli's pretty good on that short run, as we've seen. You see that wheel working back and forth. He's closing in on Jake Nichols, but he needs to dispatch him and then put him a distance behind him.
Getting closer to that bumper, but again, the short run. Will the 91 just let the 7 go and manage his tires for the finishing 45 laps of this race?
Nichols, Scioli, Weishart, and DeLeo, they will cycle to be your race leaders once Garrett Grant hits pit lane. Garrett's hoping for a caution to spice things up. A little bobble by the 91. The 7 looking a lot sturdier here on this short run, but he has burned up his stuff faster than the 91 has. They're closing in on 40 laps to go, and Scioli knows that if he doesn't pass this car, it's all for nothing.
And he's closing in on that bumper. And Jake Nichols, though, he's not going to let that 7 car go around him easily. He's going to have to make him work it on the outside. He's going to give he's running his line.
Look at the run that the 7 is building here through turn 2. He's a little bit better right now than the 91, but this doesn't carry, or it hasn't carried so far tonight over the course of the entire run.
He can catch him, but he can't find a way around him just yet. I don't know if it would be wise to use contact, but you are going at it for a championship. Do you race it clean, or do you just use your front bumper?
And it would really weigh on me to wreck the guy that has raced clean this whole time. But I think if you're Scioli, a little bit of touch isn't a terrible idea. He's so close to the quarter panel. There's the tiniest of touches there to the back of the 91. Just the slightest touch on the quarter panel, and here comes Scioli.
Dead even at the stripe, still in the second.
He's got him.
spot. Oh my goodness! He shut the door on Jake Nichols going into turn 1. It looked close, but that 91 and the 7, they barely missed contact. You might have been able to fit a piece of paper in between it. That's how close it was.
Oh man, that was tight into turn 1. Holy cow.
Might fit more than one piece of paper in between.
Okay, maybe a stack, but it was still close.
Yeah.
40 laps to go.
40 to go. Now the 91 has let the 7 go. Going to preserve those tires for the end of the run. I think the 7 of Scioli knows that, so he's going to have to make sure he holds on to his tires, because we know Jake Nichols, what he can do with older tires.
Yeah, Scioli now, he's got control. Trouble in the back straight. One car in the wall. And Ryan Swan, he bounced off it. He keeps it straight. But going back to the leader, Scioli has control of the pace of this race now. If he drives too hard, Nichols will just drive right back by him. He's got to be smart about how he applies the speed of this number 7. He's done the hardest thing to do. Now he's just got to keep the pace such that he won't burn his stuff up.
What he's hoping for is to force the 91 to pass him high. And I don't know if you can see that, but the lights are starting to come on.
Lights are on and the stars are out. And I'm not talking about the ones in the Nevada sky. I'm talking about on the racetrack here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the Area Elite Entertainment Cup Series. And this entertainment has been elite. Under 40 to go, and we're still battling for what will cycle around to be the lead once Garrett Grant hits pit lane. Here comes Jake Nichols now. He's picking up the pace and was a little quicker than Scioli that time through.
Yeah, Scioli trying to make Jake Nichols pass him on the bottom. He knows that the top groove is the way to go in 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is a different story. He's running right in the tire tracks of Jake Nichols. And don't look too far behind. If something happens to these front 2, David Weishart's a 2.5 behind these guys.
There was the slightest of touches. I don't even know if it registered, but Scioli just touched Jake Nichols, and it was all it took. A little bit of a struggle there for Nichols through that turn. He can't get cocky here either. If he waits too long and the tires equalize out and Scioli protects his rubber, then Nichols could lose this. So it's not a given that the 91 will come on back, and this time through he's going to lose some ground.
3 car lengths, now 2 separating the 7 and the 91. We'll see that 7 diamond it back down towards the bottom over there in turn 2, and that's really what's been getting the 91 of Nichols all squirrely.
Weishart is lurking. He's much slower, about 4/10 slower last time by, but as you mentioned, if Scioli gets super defensive and Nichols gets very aggressive, they could take each other out. 35 laps to go. That's a long way for Scioli to hold off a charging Jake Nichols. That time through, the advantage was to the 91, but only by 200ths of a second.
Right there is where the 7 is getting that advantage through 1 and 2, but the 91 still maintaining pace.
I think Scioli would love a yellow just to get other people on Jake Nichols' back. If Nichols has nothing in the mirror to focus on, he can only focus on the stuff out the windshield, which is Scioli. So I think James would love to get a reset here, get some fresh tires, come out on top, have the control of the restart, and then have a chance to bury Jake in traffic when other people are aggressive around him. But I don't think we're going to get that based on what we've seen so far tonight.
No, but that would have helped the 5 of Grant. He's actually coming down pit road right
Whoa,
now.
slide from the leader. Here comes Nichols to the outside. Game
So
on.
much for that. Yeah, game on indeed. 7 on the bottom, going to run the 91 up the track. Jake Nichols going to drive off the turn with the lead. Scioli down to second, but Jake Nichols into the lead at Las Vegas.
What a drive. Garrett Grant finally hits pit lane. Scioli slid, overheated those rear tires, and just like that, his chance for a championship is slipping through his fingers with just over 30 laps to go. If there's anything now, it's going to be a caution that saves his chances. Here's Rafe Slate and Alan Ballacino. These two have been battling hard.
6 and 7, Ballacino stretched it the furthest on fuel, but that didn't quite work out, so we pitted in cycle with the 33 of Weishart.
Wow, look at the 70 sliding. Wow. Has that
still bumper to bumper.
Yeah, he's got that car on edge there, Hunter. It really is twitchy as Ballacino struggles to keep the 12 behind him. All things considered, Allen has actually salvaged this night pretty well. Runs 6th right now. I know he's could lose the spot to Slate, but you remember, he was like 4th or 5th when he first came down to pit lane, and that strategy didn't look like it was playing out. It is kind of coming back to him here, but now it could go away very quickly with the slipping and sliding that we're seeing.
Yeah, Rafe Slate not making it easy for the 70 to drive away. He's almost driving into the wall.
Look at this mess behind David Weishart, working through some lap traffic.
And Swan in the 1. Or actually, no, it's Adam Capps, my apologies.
Yep, the 55 of Adam Capps. And Weishart has a horde behind him. There's the 5 of Garrett Grant on the bottom, who's on fresh tires and down in 11th place.
He's taking the express lane around the track.
He is indeed taking the express lane, but Weishart, his championship chances are over unless we get a caution, so he's also a driver that would like to see a reset. There's Cameron Hearn on the bottom of the road, and Dom DeLeo in the background, bottom runner in the playoffs, but he came in knowing it was an outside shot.
Yeah, he entered basically 4th in the championship standings, although he does have an average finish of 7th on mile and a half this season. He's only led 5 laps on that mile and a half, but he's running inside the top 5, which is a good enough run any other night, except tonight, where you basically need to be running in first, and this guy was in first for quite some time. Scioli's led 27 of the 112 laps we've completed, but Jake Nichols is 1 shy of 50 laps led so far.
Yeah, Jake Nichols has been on fire. And I think this last run was a little bit predictable in the sense that we knew the 91 was coming back, but I think Scioli kind of made the mistake himself. He was doing pretty well holding off that 91, and it was his own slip-ups that let the 91 of Jake Nichols by.
Yeah, he knew what he had to do to stay in front of the 91, but it was just too much for him to keep a handle of the car with how fast that 91 car has been all season long and including in tonight's race.
Down the back straightaway now. This race goes green to the end. We only have about 14 minutes of racing left, about under 15 minutes until we declare our champion. And Ballacino and Rafe Slate continue to battle for 6th place.
They're still going at it. I mean, Slate can get up to the bumper, just can't find a way around it.
Nip and tuck, hip and shoulder. We've seen it all tonight. Slate drops down a lane and throttles up, trying to get to the quarter panel of the 70 of Balacino, but Allen has been defending beautifully.
Yeah, all he's doing is giving a big momentum push to that 70 every time he comes off turn 2.
Well, a lot of right-hand steering input for Balacino. Watch this as they came out of turn number 4. Watch in the cockpit here. Watch the hands. See that red tape on the wheel go back to the right once, twice, and thrice.
Oh.
Gathers it up, but that was quite the drive, and he did lose that spot to Slate.
Yeah, now that you can fit a piece of paper in between. That was close enough.
1.3 seconds between Scioli and Nichols. 25 laps to go.
Yep, 25 laps left until we crown the champion, in which you, the fans watching, can subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel for commercial-free coverage of the finish up tonight's broadcast and tomorrow night's Truck Series Championship and Thursday's Xfinity Car Championship. For only $5 a month, you can watch all area broadcasts commercial-free, and you can use the new Area iRacing emotes down in the chat. And as a subscriber, you earn double channel points that you can use to redeem for free merchandise. So go ahead and subscribe, because we're going to have the championship production at the end, and we're going to hand it off over to the series admins for the Cup Series and presenting the championship trophy to whoever it may be, because we still have over 20 laps left. It could be Nichols or Scioli or Weishart or Dominic DeLeo.
A caution throws everything by the wayside. Everything that we know, everything that we learned goes away with the yellow. We have not had any tonight. Here's a look at your race recap for the Area Elite Entertainment Cup Series race. 4 leaders, 9 lead changes. That's how aggressive it's been at the front. But only 23 laps to go, and critically, no cautions so far. And that statistic makes it unlikely that we'll see any tonight at all.
Yeah, we went from having caution fest at Martinsville to 0 cautions at Michigan, and so far 0 cautions in Vegas.
The racing world likes equilibrium, and we offset it at Martinsville by a bunch. So I think we're just pulling the world back into order a little bit.
Yeah, no, we definitely are. I mean, we've had great racing, too. We have had a crash down the backstretch with Chris Seinfeld and Paul Irvin, but that was below the apron, and it wasn't enough to trigger a caution from the AI. So we are that happened earlier on in the race, and we've been green since then.
That was within the first, 30, 40 laps of the race on the first run. And Seidenfein and Irvin involved. Forrest Smith was out early with damage from a drive through the grass on the front straightaway. Brad Slaughter Jr., who is sitting in pit lane, never took the green flag.
And his crew members are just having a conversation about where he went. He said, "Oh, I'll be back," and he's never been back.
It's the start. Got stuck in the food line.
Yeah. And he can't get his way back in the track because he had to go outside the track. No concessions in, it's only out.
20 laps to go, and Jake Nichols by 1.8.
He's continued to stretch that gap over the 7 as he's faded back. Some of the lap cars are working their way through. Garrett Grant, one of those there you just saw. He is the first car 1 lap down, so if a caution were to come out, that will put him right back on the lead lap, and he might get his 58th top 10 of his Area iRacing career. Again, making his 100th start tonight is the 5 of Garrett Grant. He stayed out a little bit, led some laps, but overall a decent night for the number 5. There he is right there. Started, he's led 13 laps right there. Started 7th, slowly worked his way back, but still running inside the top 10 overall. Solid showing for that 5.
I think he was hoping for the overcut strategy to play out like it has for Balacino, but even for Allen, it didn't turn out all that great. Again, I think the overcut pitting really late works at places like Fontana where you have a super I guess a lot of tire wear and a super long lap, like 2 to 2.5 miles. That's when that overcut strategy really seems to work, because you've got a lot of time to make it up. It's not necessarily laps, it's not necessarily distance, it's just you've got a lot of time to make up ground, and that time each lap matters a lot when you're 2 or 3 to 4 seconds off pace on old tires. So for Garrett and for Alan, I think the idea was right. I think the track and application was not quite right, but it's something that they'll put in the memory bank for next year when they're trying the same thing.
Yeah, man, over in the Twitch chat, Brad saying car wouldn't fire, and I guess they just decided to leave it there.
Well, it is off right now. Well, actually, it is running, isn't it? At 300 RPM. It's fired, or at least it's embered. A little bit of glow. In that 16 laps to go for Nichols. Now the gap is continuing to grow. That time Scully was a little quicker, but Jake Nichols has lap traffic to deal with, so I don't think it's going to swing the other direction. No other major battles on the road to speak of at the moment, which makes those cautions that Scioli, Weishart, and DeLeo need seem that much more distant.
Yeah, each lap that dwindles down is the chance of those guys having a chance to hoist the tile. That's dripping down as well. It's 2.2 now. Gap between Nichols and Scioli. Weishart, he's got Cameron Hearn closing in on him within 2 to 3 car lengths for that third spot. There he is. Weishart got a little close there with the wall coming out of third and fourth.
Hearn finally dispatched Rafe Slade, who he had been battling with all night long, and Weishart looking a little uncertain right now through turn 2. Chased the car down the hill, and Hearn, within half a car length, is putting the pressure on that playoff competitor. But again, at this point for Weishart, if you're not leading, you're not in position to win this championships. And I think he knows that the caution is unlikely. So I don't think he'll put on a huge fight here if Hearn gets to the inside. There's not much left for David to go after, but that he is kind of looking pretty wild there.
Yeah, got close to close to hitting the wall there in the tri-oval. Was the 67, but he's not making it easy for Weishart.
Back in the pack a little bit, there is a little bit more drama beginning to formulate around Rafe Slate. He's got Ed Robertson right behind him, who's 2 laps down. And Ryan Swan, who's 1 lap down. 3 drivers on 3 different laps, trying to navigate the same racetrack together.
Just closer to each other than everyone else.
A little bit. Here's Cameron again, going after Weishart, and it's inches here and inches there, but he has not been able to get up alongside the 33.
Really, you can only work the top through 1 and 2. Bottom here in 3 and 4 would work well, but 33's running all the way up, and Hearn knows that you have to pass on the top there unless you want to send it in and make contact. That's about as low as we've seen him go on the trial.
That was extremely low. I was almost in the grass there with that first pavement cut out. Look at him turn to the bottom and throttle up. We saw Nichols do this a lot tonight, and it is a strong move. If you can just get that car to turn and then square up the exit, and now Hearn's got overlap, and he should be able to complete this pass. And like I thought he would, David Weishart lifts, and he'll let him go by.
Might try to cross him over if he wants to. It's definitely still there. Boy, look at that. Close to the bump.
I just don't think Weishart has a ton for him at this stage. Here's Ryan Hartz and Alan Ballacino. This is for position for 7th place. All happening.
Ballacino he's still yet to recover from that first pit stop mishap.
All happening about 12 seconds behind the race leader. 10 laps to go, 15 miles for Jake Nichols. He has been on it tonight. Here's a battle for position. DeLeo and Rafe Slate.
With Ed Robertson watching as a spectator.
Good race out the windshield of the number 64. But he's got fresher tires as well. Oh, he's understeering.
He almost clipped the wall. I was going to say, about drove into the wall there.
Kept it out a bit, but he had to make a big lift to make that one stick.
And Slate got around the 22 of DeLeo there. So now DeLeo is outside the top 5.
Weishart still within striking distance of returning the favor on Cameron Hearn, but looking more unlikely by the day. Look at Ballacino to the bottom of the 3.
Again, for the 7th spot, Hart's on the outside. Balancino sliding up on the inside. Can't quite get the run that the 3 has. No tuck back in line.
Coming to 7 laps to go. Next time by. And wow, what just happened here? Cameron Hearn lost the spot to David Weishart.
He got up in the wall coming out of 4. No?
Wow.
Whoa.
Big tank slapper. And that's what did it. Here's another look at it. He was already out of the corner, just kind of hooked to the right and had to chase it a couple dozen feet to the right and had to give that spot back up. So reset to 67 and 33. Here's Hartz and Balancino still at it for 7th place.
Yeah, I don't know if Hearn really, lost it there going through the tribal, if he was just letting the 33 go to have something to do. Still can't get the run beneath the 3. Balancino, once again, going to tuck back in line behind Ryan Hartz.
It's the best battle on the racetrack at the moment. It has fizzled for a moment, but Balancino is setting up the exit so well. Look at the ground he gains on corner exit.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive send to the inside, you would imagine, coming into turn 1. There he is, below the 3.
He just can't get it to stick very well here. He throttled back up quickly, but not enough to outrun the outside lane where you carry so much more speed.
Nope, cannot do it. He's going to try and do it here, though.
Impressed with his consistency on the bottom of the racetrack. We really haven't seen anyone be married to that groove quite as much as Balancino.
Starts shutting the door now. Going to force the 70 to enter his line going into 1. And then cover the bottom so he doesn't get that momentum push off the turn.
Hearn slipped up, and when Weishart drove by, he hasn't been able to re-attack. But this is still the most volatile battle as we hit 4 laps to go.
Still a good bit of battles throughout the top 10, but Nichols has driven away to almost a 4-second gap between himself and James Scioli.
Yeah,
Weishart over there running in the 3rd spot.
You can tell Scioli really used up everything that he had to hold Nichols behind him, because as soon as that 91 got around him, Jake Nichols just set sail, and Scioli has had nothing to contend with him. It's almost hard to believe that he held off Nichols for as long as he did, given how significant the pace differences has been with only 1 lap older tires than the 91 has.
Yeah, he's had that short run speed, but the 91 of Nichols has continued to show that he's got long run speed no matter where we go. Short track, 1.5 mile, super speedway, road course, he's got that. He's got the speed for the long haul.
Well, Jake Nichols hits 2 laps to go. A championship is in sight. He has won 8 races, including the last 2 at Martinsville and at Michigan. He won the round at Homestead as well. He's only lost 1 race in the playoff season. That was back at the Charlotte Roval, where he finished 2nd. It has been an unbelievable season for Jake Nichols, and this time through, 1 lap to go for Jake Nichols in the 91.
But the Solar Flare Racing guys, they have been quick all year long. Not just Jake Nichols, but Wynn Culberson and Tyler Nichols throughout the season. So it seems like they're poised to clinching the team championship as well. But their driver, the 91 of Jake Nichols, is going to work his way down the backstretch for the final time. He's won 50% of the races heading into tonight's race. He's going to add to that total, go from 8 wins to 9 wins, and it's the most important win of the season. Off turn 4, Jake Nichols wins the Area Elite Entertainment Cup Series Championship.
Jake Nichols is your 2022 Season 2 Area Elite Entertainment Cup Series champion. Wow, he is also the Cash That Podcast 210 winner. James Scioli comes up 5 seconds short. Weishart, Hearn, Slate, the rest of your top 5, but Scioli, Weishart, and DeLeo are your rest of your championship 4. But Jake Nichols, 9 wins on the season, and 4 out of 5 of the playoff rounds went to this guy. Unbelievable. This is domination on a level that I just haven't seen in a while, Hunter, and this is a very deserving champion, and so much class each week when he talks about his team and the guys around him, and he will celebrate not only a race win, his 9th of the season, but a championship.
Yep, and we'll have the championship ceremony right here with the series directors, and we will also be bringing up the rest of the Solar Flare guys as well to talk about their season as well.
But first, let's go through our race results before we move on to championship celebrations. Jake Nichols gets it done and wins both the race and the championship. James Scioli, second place in the number 7, comes up short of the championship after a valiant effort holding off Jake Nichols. David Weishart, third in the number 33. He couldn't quite get it done either. Cameron Hearn, race late. They finished where they started, right next to each other, 4th and 5th. Dom DeLeo, not a championship winner tonight, but he put on his best effort and finishes 6th.
Yeah, he did all he could do there in that 22, and he knew it was going to be an uphill battle. He worked his way all the way up inside that top 5, but just didn't have the long run speed.
Look down the rest of the order. By the way, 10th place run for Garrett Grant, his 100th start. Good run to him. Here's some drivers we didn't talk a ton about tonight, Swan, Culberson, and Nichols, but for both Culberson and Nichols, good improvements from where they started the race.
Yep, absolutely. Culberson started down in 20th, and he worked his way all the way up to a 12th place finish. Solid run there. Tyler Nichols 13th as well. Then Jacob Bell and Ed Robertson inside the top 15.
And looking down the rest of the order, cars that had trouble, Chris Seiden, Fiden, Paul Irvin, and Forrest Smith. The rest here are top 20. And in 21st, unofficially, Brad Slaughter Jr., who didn't finish the race because he didn't start the race, unfortunately, in the number 88. So he will be 21st quick in this one, Hunter. Thoughts on this final race and this championship?
Yeah, it put on a show. We were green flag from start to finish, but the battles throughout the field weren't short of it. Had some contact, had some carnage, but no caution was out for that. So we end the Cup season with the last 2 races going green flag to checkered flag, caution free.
All right, in just a moment, we're going to talk to our race winner and our champion. Let's talk to our first place finisher in the season and the championship, and that driver is Jake Nichols, who gets it done in the Cash That Podcast 210, and he's also your 2022 champion. Jake Nichols, first of all, congratulations. Let's talk about the race before we get into the championship stuff. We'll talk with Jacob Bell and bring him in as well. Jake, first of all, congratulations. A really impressive race, but it didn't come so easy tonight. You had to fight and fend off that number 7.
Yeah, I'm sweating. It was a rough one. We were so much in throttle, but you're also wheeling the car like crazy tonight. It was a weird combination of out of control, but also having a lot of grip. So you kind of had to keep you had to really keep on your toes the whole night, because if you didn't, you could easily make a mistake that could just kill your tires or worse, wreck your car. But man, that car drove good. It was kind of my bread and butter, just trying to wear the tires even every single stint. And once we got going there, I'm very happy it stayed green. Not only for the league, because that's really impressive in my opinion. There was a lot of struggles in practice. I was struggling in practice a lot, same with my teammates, and the fact that we all kept it green. There was a few incidents, but the fact that we kept it all green is really impressive, and it really goes to show the talent level in this league. And man, I'm really happy that it stayed green though, because we had the pace on the long run that I just backed up so much short run to try to keep in the draft, but also just keep the tires on it, and it just kept rolling, man, and it worked.
Well, let's talk about talent level here for a second, Jake, because you won 9 races this season, and 4 of those were in the playoffs. You only lost 1 playoff race, and you finished second at that one. So that's an incredible run for you in this playoff sequence. So, yeah, we have to congratulate you on that. But what is it from week in to week out on fixed setups that makes you so good no matter the racetrack, no matter the night?
I think it's experience. You could say he's been in Coke, or the Coke Series, so obviously he's going to go win, but I think it's just experience being around like high level races. You can notice little mistakes people make trying to go short run. I think some of these guys go a little too hard short run, so it helps me with how much draft there is in this car. You can kind of just back it up and take advantage of that. And I think that definitely helped, especially at this kind of track where it's a draft track. Same with Michigan last week, same story. And it just prevails. It prevails a lot, especially if you go green. And our solar flare Toyota Camrys though are on rails, and it goes to show tonight for sure with that dominating performance there late.
Well, Jake, huge congratulations. I want to bring in Jacob Bell and a couple others to congratulate you and present you with the 2022 season championship. Jacob Bell, the series operator here in the Elite Entertainment Cup Series. Jacob, got Jake Nichols here, your 2022 series champion. What a season it was. What a playoffs it was for Jake Nichols. He is your 2022 champion.
Absolutely, and I got Jacob Hudson as well, who's been our series director this season in the Cup season, and done a great job, as well as Eric Wineland and Pierce Moffitt stepping in and helping put everything on. But Jake, man, congratulations first off on a hell of a season. We want to officially present the trophy over, so we just want to thank everybody first tuning in and all the teams and sponsors for a terrific season. You know, with a brand new next-gen Cup car and an extremely diverse and difficult schedule, this championship was no easy task, and you earned your way to this spot and then performed at the highest level when it mattered most tonight. On behalf of everybody at Area and our sponsors, Elite Entertainment and the Butt Kicker, it is my honor to present you your Season 2 Cup Series Championship, Mr. Jake Nichols. Congratulations, man.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, congratulations. And Jacob, is there anything else you'd like to say to Jake before we move on to the next finishers in the race?
Thanks for making my job easy this year. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, Jake Nichols, your 2022 season champion and winner of the Cash That Podcast 210. Jake, congratulations again, and we'll see you next time here on Sim TV. Thanks so much for being with us week in and week out. We'll see you around.
Thank you.
All right, going to move on now to our second place finisher. Runner-up in the championship tonight. He gave everything he could to try to keep Jake Nichols behind him, but he couldn't quite do it. James Scioli finishes second tonight in the Cash That Podcast 210. James, so close, but yet so far they're at the end 5 seconds back. But you had the lead for a little while. What more did you need to hold back that 91?
I had nothing for him there. I don't know how he was able to make that much grip going through the corners. I was just on edge the whole time, middle and exit, just couldn't put the power down like he could. So he was just I knew once I got that lead there, he was just kind of playing with his food. I knew he was just gonna sit behind me and wait for me to get loose like I did and just set sail. So wish I could add more for him. Was the best of the rest, but just unfortunately not good enough.
Well, it was a great effort regardless. And tell me about the strategy tonight in terms of trying to undercut or overcut and how the tires were. Do you think that you played the right strategy? Is there anything different you could have done when you came to pit lane?
I don't really think so. The tires fell off about a second and a half, and they fell off pretty quickly, and then you kind of evened out. So I figured undercutting was the best way to go, and I knew whenever I pitted, Jake was just going to pit the next lap. So plan was just try and stay as close as I could and undercut and hopefully get the lead. But I knew it was going to take either a caution or speeding penalty or something for me to really have a chance. He was just too good all night.
Well, James, a second place in the championship and also in the race. Not a bad night, all things considered. But what do you got for next season? Do you think you can do one spot better next time?
Sure, hope so. I'll definitely be back. Hopefully we can put together some better runs. Maybe get a couple more wins. Just the one win this season. So hopefully we can get a couple more wins, rack up some more playoff points, and be back here talking to you guys next season.
All right, James, we'll see you there. Thanks so much for being with us, and we'll see you next time around.
Thank you, guys. I just want to say a big thanks to Jacob Bell and all the admins. I know the season started out pretty rough, but towards the end here, we were able to put on a great show, so I think that was a pretty good testament to the guys in this league and the guys that stuck around, stuck with it. Big thanks to you guys for taking over the broadcast. They've been amazing. Been watching the truck series when I can, so thanks to you guys, and then big thanks to Butt Kicker and David Weishart for picking me up this season.
Well, James, thanks so much for the kind words, and hopefully we'll see you on the next lap next season. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
And third place tonight, the number 33, David Weishart comes home third in the race and in the championship. David, not a championship tonight, but you gave it your all and had some great battles. Take us through your night and your season.
Yeah, I put in quite a bit of practice this week and just never, ever got the feel for the car. I don't know if it's not an updated setup or what it is. It's just in the track, and every time you hit a bump, it just made the car squirrely. So never really got a feel for it. I came in with pretty low expectations, and I think I just told Jake and my teammate James down there that I know we're upset we didn't win. Obviously, if you're in the Final Four, you want to win. But I think the top 4 finished in the right order. So you can be upset to an extent, but you still got to be happy that you made it this far. And as far as the season goes, it started off kind of slow for me. We had some issues earlier in the season, just a bunch of yellows, people trying to figure out the car, and got caught up in a lot of stuff, but rallied it back in the last part of the season. And like I said, always want to win, but I can't be that disappointed coming home with third.
It certainly was a great way to end the season out. Maybe not quite a championship, David, but certainly a very, very good one. Thanks so much for talking to us. Anybody you'd like to thank before we get on our way?
Yeah, I just want to thank Elite Entertainment and Jacob for putting this all on. Butt Kicker, Chris Sports Cards for sponsoring the team this season. Everybody that drove with our team this season. James was a pickup in the off season, was the best off season pickup I could have made. We do have some news coming out sometime next week about next season's driver lineup, so stay tuned for that on my Twitter. And thank you all for broadcasting. Y'all stepped in pretty late, and y'all have done a phenomenal job. I really look forward to going back and watching the broadcasts and all that stuff. So y'all knocked it out of the park, and thanks to all the admins for what they've done all season. And we'll be back at it next season.
All right, thanks so much, David. Congratulations on a job well done this season, and we'll see you next time around.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you. And Hunter, that's going to wrap up the interviews for tonight. Jake Nichols, a phenomenal season and a phenomenal race. He did everything he had to do and came out on top. But what a great season it was. And the last 2 races, caution-free. That's hard to do, but just, again, as Jake mentioned, shows the talent level here in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a deserving champion, first off. Congratulations to Jake Nichols for dominating the Cup Series and winning the championship, arguably the most deserving driver. But, you know, it seemed like he was the favorite from the beginning, and that, he's going to win all the races. That was the preseason talk with him, but obviously that was not the case. We had no repeat winners as far as drivers winning more than one race, but there were some drivers all the way from race 1 to win races in controversial fashion, dramatic fashion, and then, you know, it's just been a great season all season long for season 2 of the Cup Series. I can't wait for season 3. It's going to be a little bit of time before we get that with the scheduling and all that fun stuff in between, but I really enjoyed this season, and I'm glad to be back for next season and do it all over again.
Well, we've got more championships to sort out this week. Tomorrow night, this area CNC Log and Truck Series, they head to Las Vegas for their playoff season finale. We'll see you there tomorrow night at 8:40 p.m. Eastern. That'll do it for us tonight and for the Season 2 season. Kyle Heyer and Hunter Sleppy from SimTV wrapping things up from Las Vegas. We'll see you tomorrow night to roll the dice again with the CNC Log and Truck Series. We'll see you there.